Let's start with the Feud. Ultimately, it got out of control last week. What does it mean for this company operationally and how this stock trades?
Well, look, Q1 was a little bit of a tricky quarter to discern how much Mr. Musk's political contributions have had an impact on company fundamentals. Q2, just based on the publicly available data, is not trending very well, but we try to look forward, right? And so there are three very, very important things for the company this year. Number one, it's promised a couple new vehicles. We'll see by the end of the year what they launch. Number two, they have a very, very, very important launch this week in Austin, Texas with robotaxi. And number three, longer term, there's Optimus, the robots. And we'll have to wait a couple of years as to what the impact on the P&L is. But we try to focus on the fundamentals of the company. And, we're looking forward to understanding how these three catalysts can impact the stock.
Well, let's pick out one element, one dimension of that story then, the robotaxi business. So I mentioned the downgrade that came from Ben Kallo of Baird just moments ago, and it was more on the robotaxi business. He said the Musk comments regarding the robotaxi ramp rate are a bit too optimistic, and we believe this excitement has been priced into shares. So that's one opinion. I'd love to hear yours, George. What's your view on that side of the business?
Well, Ben is a good friend of mine and really smart. The way we look at autonomy is that it's, number one, incredibly important for the world and for our country. And if you look at what Tesla's trying to do, they have a singular approach to the market. They're using only cameras and they're using end-to-end AI. It's a different approach. And so this catalyst in June, this week, is incredibly important. But if you look 1 to 2 years out, there are only a few companies that will be successful in bringing robotaxis to market or autonomy to market, in our opinion. That likely includes Tesla, likely includes Waymo, likely includes Aurora, a company that we cover that's focused on trucks, and it likely includes Mobileye. So these are incredibly important markets, not just for the world, but for our country. To the extent we need to compete against China, we need to make sure we have a flourishing autonomous market. And if you want to bet on a company in that space, well, Tesla's a very good bet, in our opinion.
George, one of the bull cases was that Musk's close relationship with Donald Trump would allow the regulatory framework to get this going faster, that you would end up with a quicker autonomous vehicle rollout than otherwise would happen. Now there's this question of whether that kind of rollout will be hampered by this ongoing feud. Why do you shrug that off as a possibility at a time where potentially that was something that's been floated by people close to the administration?
I'd like to think that our country is beyond crony capitalism. And to the extent you think this is a very important market and a very important technology, which we certainly do, we have to look past that. And we need a set of federal rules that will make the glide path easier for companies trying to compete in the space. And that's what the administration has promised. I think it'll happen. And to the extent Tesla has a successful launch this week, which we think it will, it'll lead forward to multiple companies competing in the space that I just mentioned, whether it's Waymo, whether it's Mobileye empowering OEMs. And like I said, we need this technology for a more sustainable world, for the multiple benefits it will bring to our country.
You mentioned China and competing there, and that's an element of Tesla's story also that's been called into question, especially over the past couple of months, as there's been this race to the bottom when it comes to pricing of BYD and cars in China, electric vehicles in particular. How do you factor that into the outlook for a company that is sort of playing this fraught relationship in a very delicate dance?
Well, to be clear, like you said, China is incredibly important to Tesla. It's about a quarter of its sales, and they've been very successful there. This quarter, just the publicly available data suggests that the momentum might be stalling a little bit, but they have additional vehicles that they'll launch there. And like a very important point for our country and for Western markets is that if you look at it strategically, China is well ahead. And there are only a couple of companies that are successful in the West in making compelling EVs. That includes Tesla, that includes Rivian. And we need these markets to flourish in the West. So to the extent we need Tesla to be successful, we think they will be. They have an incredible tech advantage, regardless of what the Chinese have done, in our opinion. So we need this company to flourish, and we think it will. We're looking forward, right? They have a very compelling Model Y. They have other vehicles that they've promised. They have a potential scale advantage in autonomy because they'll be able to enable many of their vehicles with just a software upgrade. And it's a singular company to that extent because the others need additional equipment. So if they're successful in that approach, they can enable millions of vehicles at the same time to become robotaxis. It's pretty phenomenal.